Mm.
Next thing you know, it's time for the show. Hello and welcome to Positive Fandom Sunday Brunch, everybody. It's time for Sunday Brunch. I am your host, Mmmm, and of course we have with us today Russ Whitfield. How are you today, Russ?
I'm good, thank you, I'm coming at you from my hotel room in rainy Philadelphia.
Oh,
So it's actually brunch time for me as well. I didn't sleep too well last night with a bit of jet lag, so I was up at I think 3 o'clock this morning, and then I had to take sleeping tablets to go back to sleep, and I only just woke up like a couple of minutes ago. So if I look like the creature from the black latrine, I apologise to the chat profusely. But there we go. So yeah, in the USA now for a little while. So I
well,
will be coming.
welcome. We're glad to have you here, Russ.
Thank you so much. I'm in the city of brotherly love for a couple of days, and then I'm heading off to Maine, New England. So
That is wonderful. It is great to have you here stateside. And I hope you enjoy your time in Philadelphia, which is a great city. And then off to Maine is also so beautiful this time of year, Russ.
well, I really love Philadelphia. I mean, I've never been here before, and it's actually a lot like certain parts of London, the bit that I'm in. It seems like a very British city, in that it's got all these old churches and old buildings nested up against really modern things. It's got a very Londony feel to it. So I had a walk around yesterday. Um, yeah, so it's all good, and I'm drinking singularly disgusting instant coffee. I should have brought my own because this isn't
Ooh.
very nice, but it'll do. It'll get me through the show.
Well, I wish I could send you Starbucks or some kind of coffee there, which I can't do. But that morning cup of coffee is so important. I have mine, and it's such a rainy day. Rainy days aren't the best for me. They always like make my muscles ache for some weird reason. So,
Oh
so I
well,
feel your
it's
pain,
because you bring
Russ.
sunshine wherever you go, RM. That's why. So
Thank
the
you.
rain is your kryptonite.
Yeah, apparently it is. Thank you, Russ. Oh, good morning to Zacharat 315. Good morning to you, as well as Tom Jr. Jackson. We are all good people. Good morning, Tom Jr. Jackson. I hope you are well today. Always great to see you. Mario Lopez is here with us. Always
Hey,
great to see
Mario.
you. Mario, of course, all the way from Portugal. Everybody, good to see you here. Gary, Banjo Sandwich Worthington is here, and he says, "What a week in pop culture we had." Yes, Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington, what a week it has been. Mikey Lito says, "A very pleasant good morning to Positive Fandom, Tom Jr. Jackson, Russ Whitfield, the chat, and all who identify as imagination connoisseurs and members of the Post Geek Singularity." Well, Mikey Lito, I don't think there could be a nicer morning greeting than that, and a very good morning to you as well. Joker Voice. Good morning, Joker Voice, everybody. Remember, Mikey Lito and Joker Voice both have channels here on YouTube. Please subscribe to those channels, as well as Tom Jr. Jackson's. And we also have Darth Plato. Darth Plato is here this morning. Good
Hey,
morning
Darth
to
Vader.
you. And Stubble McShave is here. Stubble, how are you today? I hope the weather where you are is nice and you can enjoy this wonderful June day. And it's probably the evening for you as well, Stubble. And we also have, Tom Jr. Jackson is talking about supporting the channel. This channel, guys, subscribe to Positive Fandom. You can also send me tips here on Stream Elements. Thank you so much, Tom, for sharing that. And that is very helpful, and I do appreciate it, guys. This was one of those mornings where the rain makes me achy, but it's okay. I am here. Oh, and look, Martino Solmoni is here all the way from Italy. I'm assuming you're in Italy right now, Martino. And I did want to thank Martino for the very generous $50 tip that he gave me on Stream Elements. Thank you so much, Martino. You are so generous to help Positive Fandom continue. I so appreciate the support, and it is
That's very
wonderful to
kind.
see you. Yes, it is so kind, Martino. I can't tell you how grateful I am for your generosity. It certainly is very kind of you, and it is most appreciated because I do need it to continue going on with the channel. So it is most appreciated, very kind, and so generous of you guys out there. Yes, and so Russ, Gary says, what a week in pop culture we have had. It certainly has been one. Joker Voice says, what I found works on morning soreness is a good morning session, if you know what I mean. Well, Joker Voice, there's so many meanings to this.
Well, that's quite right. And this is a family show, Joker Voice.
Well, you know something? I have to agree with you, Joker Voice. Certainly a good morning session does help with morning soreness. So thank you for the advice, Joker Voice. I will heed your advice in the future.
I must just say before we get going, I have to apologise because this is my work machine because I'm over here to do a few bits and pieces, and weirdly with this machine, the camera's down here, which is really weird. So if I'm the type, you get this so that's why you can see more of me than usual. And the hotel room doesn't have a desk, so I'm kind of perched on the end of my bed. So I apologise, chat. It's not my usual setup. Once I get to Maine, it will be a little bit different, I think.
Well, we appreciate you being here, Russ. For me, it doesn't matter where the camera is, just as long as, you're here participating with us. That's the most important thing. And guys, Martino has his own YouTube channel. So do subscribe to Martino's YouTube channel, which
I did
Tom
not
Jr.
know that.
Jackson.
I will check it out.
Yeah, guys, you have to subscribe to Martino's channel. So please make sure you do that here on YouTube. And we also have Renz Tolentino. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing great, guys. Renz Tolentino is a very talented artist. So please check out his work on Instagram and Facebook. Renz Tolentino, so good to see you here this morning. Joker Voice says, apparently you've never heard of RM on Toxic Femme.
I have. I love Toxic Femmes, Joker Voice. I do, but you see, it's on so late when I'm in England. I never get a chance to listen to it live. I always have to play catch up on Toxic Femmes. But I'm a huge fan of that show. Actually,
Well,
it's
thank
one of my
you.
it's my favorite part of Midnight's Edge. To be honest with you, I think you guys, Nina and Lorena, bring an entirely different perspective to the show, a feminine perspective. It's a actually, I think it's a shame it's just not you three on this show, but I understand that Tom or whoever has to host it because it's a Midnight Edge thing. But it's an entirely different spin, and I think you're all really talented presenters. So yeah, it is my favorite part of Midnight's Edge. Just saying.
Well, thank you so much, Russ. That's so kind of you guys. Toxic Femininity is on Midnight's Edge at 8 p.m. Easterns on Monday night. So do check Nina Infinity, Lorena Creole, and myself. We're the regular hosts, and Tom is kind of the maitre d', if you will, on the show. And thank you, Russ, for your kind words, as well as you,
Only
Joker
the truth.
Voice. And Mikey Lito says, it looks comfy, Russ.
Do you know what? The bed is comfy, but sitting like this isn't. I mean, I could recline, I guess, like the fucking Jeff Goldblum. But sitting like this is wrecking my back. But we're gonna get through. After all, we're entertainers.
We are. And Paul in Long Beach, hello, Paul in Long Beach, says Russ in bed, sexy.
Yeah, it must be a new definition of the word sexy I haven't previously encountered, Paul, but thank you very much.
I'm loving it, Paul. Mario Lopez says it's 33 degrees Celsius in Lisbon. That's hot. That is hot. I wish it was 33 degrees here, Mario, so I could go to the beach because it is June, and where I live, this is our beach time, but it is kind of rainy and not an ideal beach day. So that's kind of a bummer, but that's okay. And we also have, let's see, Joker Voice says that he subbed to Martino's channel, guys. So please go ahead and do that. Darth Plato says there's nothing wrong with an ad hoc solution. Agreed. And we have Mikey Lito's YouTube channel link here in the chat. Guys, please go ahead and subscribe to Mikey Lito. And also, let's see what Gary is saying. The boys, Kenobi, Miss Marvel, for all mankind, spoiled for choice. Yes, there is quite a bit that has come out. I would add Stranger Things to that list. Personally,
Mario did. I can see Mario's quoting that, but he put Stranger Things at the front there. So where do you want to kick off today,
I will leave it up to you, Russ. What is on your mind today?
What is on my mind? Little bit of disappointment, little bit of crossness, and a lot of hope. I'm gonna say, little bit of disappointment. I watched the Black Adam trailer, and I was rather underwhelmed, and I'm disappointed to be underwhelmed actually, because I was really hoping this would be not a Marvel movie, and it kind of has that vibe. Now, I could be completely wrong. We're talking trailer, so who knows how the final product's going to be. But this was the first showing of what this movie is potentially going to be like, and I don't know. It looks fun, um, but to me it just looked like The Rock dressed as Black Adam, being The Rock in a Rock movie that happened to be called Black Adam, as opposed to him taking on the role of this darker character. Now, I mean, the one bit in the trailer when the guy's dissing him and he throws him halfway across the city, that was kind of played for laughs, and it's like, yeah, I'm not sure this is what I want from a Black Adam movie. So, in my completely biased, where my bias is like, I was hoping for something more akin to BVS Man of Steel than Shazam. Now, I get that the Black Adam is a Shazam villain, and they are going to have to meet. But it seems like they've come down on that side of things. It seems like it's going to be more of a Shazam-y, light and fun and Marvel-esque movie, and not um, a Snyderverse movie,
Yeah,
which is
that's
disappointing to me.
disappointing.
To me, to me. Now, but we mustn't forget that, my personal biases aside, actually Shazam was a great fun movie and made a metric shit ton of money, and people really really liked it. But as I say with Marvel movies, and I know it's a DC movie, but with Marvel movies in general, they're very McDonald's for me. I love them, I enjoy the hell out of them, and then I've forgotten about them. And I honestly can't remember a lot about Shazam, only that Mark Strong was in it, and he should never have been in it. They should have kept him back to be Sinestro. Um, so Renz comes in here with that's because of the short pause before the comedic part when Black Adam punched the shoulder. It felt like a Marvel trailer in that part, in my honest opinion. But I'm hyped for the movie. I'm going to reserve judgment, Renz. Who knows what's going to happen, because all of these movies that are coming out now, right? This is a time of turmoil for Warner Brothers, DC. Zaslav's just come in. Nobody really knows what he's going to be doing. He's sacking the old guard left and right. It looks like Hamada's next to go. Emmerich's already gone. So my what they call the Snyder Bros. I prefer Acolytes, but we're all very excited that Toby Emmerich's gone, and it looks like all the blockers to a potential Snyderverse has now gone, and the rumors are that there's going to be a DC Black label. Have you heard about this, Artem?
No, I haven't heard anything about this. And hello to Renz again, and also Tom Jr. Jackson is talking about the weather. It is 69 degrees there as well. Same for Mikey Lito, who's just down the road from me. And also, let's see. Um, Darth Plato says, "Can you smell what Black Adam is cooking?"
I don't. No, not not at the moment. Um, yeah.
And hello, Toffee 20. And I'm sorry, Russ.
Oh
Hello,
no, hey
Toffee
Toffee.
20.
Sorry. Yeah, no, you carry on. Um, yeah. So Black Adam, uh, not what I wanted, but looks like it's going to be fun, right? So that's the point. It might not be what I wanted, but this looks like it's going to deliver a Shazam-esque tale. I think somebody in the chat and it I missed who said it. They said it should be dark, and I agree. But as I say again, this movie has come out or was made or constructed in a time where DC or Warner DC just didn't know what they were doing and where they were going. So this leads on now to the Black Label stuff. Yes, Joker Voice, you're quite correct. It's absolutely awesome, and I'll speak to this later on because there's another topic we want to cover, which will talk a little bit about that. So this now leads on into DC Black Label. Now this, I think, this comes out of Geekosity. Mikey or Mickey Sutton, who's like a famous scooper, um, who I think your colleagues at Midnight's Edge hold in a lot of esteem. I found him
Yes,
to
they
be
do.
I found him to be more hit than miss, but he has been, he's missed a few times. So he is saying that Snyder's path back to DC lies, as we all suspect, on HBO Max in this DC Black Label stuff. That was a comic imprint, I believe. Comic nerds, correct me if I'm wrong. That basically it's like the Sandman and all that stuff. It deals with much more adult DC stuff. So it looks like Cavill, Affleck, Godot, and all of that will be part of that universe. And I suspect this is me making stuff up now. I suspect they'll reboot DC proper on the big screen and just let Zach do his thing on HBO Max, which is all we want as Zachalites. We just want those next two movies. We'd love a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill. But do you know what? I'll take Justice League 2 and 3 and have them finish it there. That would just make me happy. So that leads on to something you told me about. We mentioned the words Henry and Cavill together in the same statement. Calm yourself. This is a family show, RM. Uh, um, talking of things that RM says on toxic femininity, you should have seen the text you sent me about Henry Cavill the other day, which I shall not reveal online. But yeah, so yeah, we were talking about this, and tell me about the article. Tell the folks about the article you sent me regarding Henry Cavill.
Yeah, apparently there are some executives, and I think it was at Warner who may be the executives who said this, in a few articles going around where they were talking about how they were saying, and I almost feel like it's sacrilegious for me to even say this out loud, but I did say it on Friday, and I'm going to repeat it again. They were saying that Henry Cavill may be too old to play Superman. And I thought that that was the most preposterous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, because we all well know that he is perfect to play Superman right now.
I couldn't agree more, and I've noticed this a lot with these opinion pieces because that's what they are. These are opinion. I saw one the other day from comic. Oh God, Comic Stream, which I guess is
Mhm.
which is an offshoot of movie stream, and they were saying in there that it looks like Zaslev has put paid to the Ta-Nehisi Coates AJ Abrams Superman movie and the Michael Jordan um, Valzod TV show, and that would be a huge mistake. And that was their statement, and that would be there was no justification as to why that this would be a huge mistake, just that that writer thought it would be a mistake. Well, I disagree with that writer, so I'm very happy that these nonsense projects have been canned. I mean, I'm all right with Val Zod, but I'm not all right with Ta-Nehisi Coates writing about the greatest American hero ever. That just is ridiculous. As to Henry Cavill being too old, if you look at Henry Cavill today and you look at Henry Cavill in 2013, it's like the man has been cryogenically preserved,
Yes.
and the man has just been given muscle buff. Like
Yes.
this guy is he's genetically perfect, isn't he? Look at him. You know that statement of men want to be him and women want to be with him, and they always used to say that about James Bond, right? Well, I'm saying it about Henry Cavill. I mean, look at him. He's just a specimen, isn't he? Of gorgeousness and charm and loveliness, and it really helps. I think it helps with Cavill's persona actually that he himself comes across as quite a nice man, which you don't often which you can get with Hollywood stars, but he seems to be sort of like a genuine sort of World of Warcraft playing nerd that apparently built a PC online which had women all over the country passing out because he was there doing something with his hands. Um, so yeah, so that, I can see it all coming up in the chat. Love Cavill, love Cavill, love Cavill. Like everybody loves Henry Cavill. So to the point that he is aging out of this role, I find that a ridiculous statement, especially to wind it back a little bit. DC Warners have just kicked off a franchise called Black Adam, and if memory serves me correctly, The Rock is 50. It also, somebody in the chat said, yeah, Dr. Fate's the best part of it. Well, Pierce Brosnan is like 70, as is Michael Keaton, who they've just brought in as Batman. So to sort of come out and say that Henry's too old when they're casting 50-year-olds and 70-year-olds in major franchise kickoffs, not so much with Keaton, but apparently he was going to be the new Batman, is ridiculous. That said, now there is another side to this. They can't hang around and wait too long. We don't want to be starting a Superman 2 or a Justice League 3, when Henry's like 45. I mean, I don't think that's a good plan either. But I think strike now, because give him all the money that he wants, because he will make you more money than you, beyond the dreams of avarice. Everyone's going to go and see it because everybody loves him and everybody loves Superman. So you've got the guy that everybody loves, the character that everybody loves. Let's put him in a movie, his own movie, or as I would have it, get at least finish the Justice League. What
Yeah,
do you
and
think, Tara?
well, as far as I'm concerned, he definitely needs at least two more standalone Supermans, and he can film those simultaneously. So, if they had him doing a solo film to follow up Man of Steel, two sequels would be great, or two films would be great. And hello, Rogue Thinker. I didn't get a chance to say hello to you.
Hey,
He
Rogue.
says Black Adam should be dark, but he should also be a villain. And it might have been Joker Voice who had said that he felt that if Henry Cavill showed up into Black Adam, that the movie would make $1 billion or something, or
Yeah.
something like that. And I have to agree. Toffee20 says, I cannot wait for Mando 3. And Tom Jr. Jackson is showing Renz Tolentino's Instagram feed, as I mentioned earlier. I think that Henry Cavill has so many more years ahead of him. I would go so far as to say he looks exactly as he did in 2013 when Man of Steel came out. He's got all these franchises that he's doing. He's doing Highlander, for heaven's sake. There can be only one. This is this is going to be very interesting. And of course, he is the first Superman that we've ever had who has had his shirt off. We never had a Superman before that. Where Superman, is walking around showing his guns or whatever you want to call it. We've never really had that before, and Henry Cavill is the first one. Not that the previous Superman couldn't have done that. It's just that they gave him a little bit more kind of sex appeal than you would normally see with Superman, who is always attractive. Superman is an attractive alien, right? But with Henry Cavill, we saw a little bit more of Superman in Man of Steel. And I think that we need to continue seeing that. You can't go back. You can't have him completely covered up. We need to see more of that, and he's kept himself in shape. So there's absolutely no reason.
To put it mildly, Aram. Oh yeah, he works out a bit. Give the man some credit. He spends like thousands of hours in the gym. He's in shape. Yes, he is. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, that leads me to a question, which is a little bit of a branch off, actually. But I wanted to. It just occurred to me. There are some actors, actresses, models, movie stars that you can see as so beautiful, but not necessarily sexually attractive, right? And there are other ones that you just think are really really sexy. And I don't know if you find that, or do you just find them all? I'm trying to think of a. Here's an example, right? For me, I think Angelina Jolie was the most perfectly beautiful woman ever, but she's not sexy to me. I just think that she is perfection. However, on the other end of that scale, I also think Pamela Anderson is one of the most perfect things ever created by modern science. But hey, it still looks great. I find her really really sexy. So there's this kind of like would want to get hold of Pamela Anderson, but I just would want to worship at the altar of Angelina, if that makes sense.
Well, yes, they are two very beautiful women, and I agree with you on that regard. I think that, somebody like The Rock has, like he's very, very fit, but he
Hmm.
does not have the same appeal that Henry Cavill has in Hollywood, or somebody like a Chris Pine who isn't really known for his slamming physique. He's fit, but he's not known for that.
Or
He's
Chris
known
Fine,
more.
as Annie would say.
Yes, for other things, or even somebody like Idris Elba, who's managed to keep himself fit as well,
Mm.
because he was heavily into boxing for a long time too. But for a man who is an older man, he still has kept his looks up very well, and is desire like a lot of women and people who like men find Idris very desirable. So
Mm.
there are some people out there who are always going to be in the category of desirability, regardless of their age. In addition to keeping themselves fit, they just have that thing about them as a star. So, I would even go so far as to say Tom Cruise is that way. He's managed to keep, his star shining bright, and with success with Maverick, which has been a summer blockbuster, more or less.
I
Um,
can't wait to see that. Sorry to interrupt.
I can't wait to see it either. I haven't seen it. I'm excited about what he's done. And I think that, he's going to keep going for as long as he can
Hmm.
with it. And, I think it's good because we actually need more people like this doing this. He's the motivator, he's the person who's pushing forward his projects. And as long as he can do them, he'll keep doing them. We don't really have anybody who's doing anything like that right now, except for maybe Chris Pine, who's done a few films like that. But I think that it's a genre or an area where people want to see more action, and it seems to be booming now. Alan Richardson is another actor I think who falls into that category of, gee, he's like a tank, but he has a
Hmm.
different type of sex appeal. And I'm sure there are some people out there who would disagree with me on The Rock, who find The Rock very sexy. I think The Rock was sexier in the series Ballers on HBO. I think he had a little
Hmm.
bit more charm in that. And I think that was more of what The Rock might actually be like personality wise, and that's why it came over
Mm.
so cool. And of course, it was about professional athletes, so that was also very appealing. And it seems like he fit right into that. So, he can play any role. It seems like The Rock can play anything. But
Yeah, but I would say, sorry, Aram, I would say he plays the Rock in every role. And I,
yes,
and I, and I, I think that's kind of the thing, isn't it? It's a bit like Sean Connery, who is an amazing actor as Sean Connery. Yeah, right. And that's all fine. Um, but anyway, we digress into the sexiness. So yeah, Henry Cavill not too old, and hopefully that they nail all of this down quickly. That would, I think, maybe that's the thrust of what they were saying there. It's not that so much, or my take on it would be, it's not so much that he's aging out of the role per se, but we need it now. We need it quickly. We don't want we don't want Superman 2 to be kicking off in 5 years time. No, they've got to do it, and they've got to do it now. As you said, there's Highlander coming up. That's potential franchise material. They're casting about for a James Bond. I'm pretty sure that their list consists of Henry Cavill, and Henry Cavill. Um, I'd be surprised if they go down any other route with that. Um, just a little side note. Anybody that's a fan of Idris Elba, and Idris Elba, you mentioned, did boxing for a little while. There is a documentary called Idris Elba Fighter, where it's about 10 years old now, maybe 5, 10 years old now, and he comes from a tough part of London, and he grew up on the streets, and he did, because some parts of London are rough. We don't have guns here, so it would be fist fighting and so on and so on. But he felt a little bit of a fraud. He was saying in this documentary that he plays all these like people that kick ass and all the rest of it, but yeah, he's done a little bit. So he decides to become a professional kickboxer and take part in a professional kickboxing bout, which isn't point sparring. This is full contact, trying to knock the other guy out sparring. And he, obviously it's a reality project, so they're going to make it entertaining. But he basically goes around the world and he's learning Wing Chun, he's learning Thai boxing, he's learning all this stuff, and the show culminates with him actually stepping into the ring in a real fight with a real fighter. Um, so check it out. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube or something like that.
Absolutely, Russ. I'm glad you brought that up. Lorraine and I did have had an episode about Idris Elba on our show, Toxic Male
You
Appreciation,
have.
which is one of our most viewed episodes, with Idris Elba, who has a new movie coming out called 3,000 Years of Longing, where he plays a Din. And it is an incredible looking film. It's going to be coming out this summer, I believe. And Idris is amazing. I've had the pleasure of actually seeing him in person, as he spins EDM, like he's an EDM artist as well. And so during my time covering many EDM events, I had a chance to see him in a live show, and he was amazing there. I'm a huge fan of Idris, and you're right. He about the boxing part, that documentary that he made, he spoke about how it was important, what a role it played in him and becoming a man, and almost in a sense not getting into trouble. All those things they tell you what extracurricular activities can do for a person, for a man. It tests that boxing was what did it for him. So I think that that's very interesting. And I also wanted to say hello to Mark Nidal. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us this morning. And of course, Luminara 843. Why is this not showing?
It is showing, but I think either you or me is breaking up, and I don't know who it is.
It's me.
Is it
It's
you?
me.
Okay.
And I apologize, guys. Luminara 843. Hello to you this morning, Luminara. Such a wonderful creator and collector and flexer of 1/6 scale figures. Good morning, Luminara, and good morning to you, Mark Netto. We are so happy that you are joining us here this morning.
I've got to make a shout out.
Also,
We missed, or I missed, one of my favorite channels, newly introduced to me. Retro Nerd Girl is here. Hello, Retro Nerd Girl. I saw her pop up. I was trying to say hello, and we got sidetracked. So welcome. Please, everyone, subscribe to her channel. It's amazing. I am here to tell you. I was not aware of it until a few weeks ago. Brilliant. And MCP Scotty's here. Hey, Scotty. There she is. And I think I saw Keely. Did I see Keely?
Yes, there's memes of destruction here too. Keely Chow is here this morning.
We got the whole gang.
MCP Scotty is here this morning. And I'm looking for Keely Chow's comment, because I know Keely is here. As you mentioned, I am so behind, guys. I apologize. And is that who I think it is? Oh my goodness. I sure hope I'm getting everybody this morning. I probably am not, and I apologize, guys. Who else is here? Retro Nerd Girl's here, and this is her channel. Guys, please subscribe to Retro Nerd Girl. If you like pop culture, if you like classics, Retro Nerd Girl's channel is the channel for you. She goes over all the stuff we love, guys. Subscribe to Retro Nerd Girl's channel. And Mark O'Brien is here, who says that Top Gun Maverick was amazing. Thank you, Mark O'Brien, for letting us know. We certainly do appreciate it. And of course, Keely Chow is here. Hello, Keely Chow. We love when you join us here in the morning. And of course, our very, very, very good friend, Latoya T is here, guys.
Oh, hello. I
Latoya
missed that.
T is here, everybody. Coco Tulip is Latoya T's uh, uh, business. Latoya T makes incredible fashions. And of course, Latoya T is a great friend of mine, a great friend of the channel, a huge fan of pop culture. My pal during Star Wars Celebration. Hello, Latoya T. So great to see you guys. Check out Coco Tulip if you want some amazing garments that she has designed. Certainly do take a look. Now,
so there's a few comments here just before we move on.
yes.
Someone was saying, yeah, Tom Cruise is still doing franchises. He's doing Top Gun and he's doing Mission Impossible. This is to do with age. And Darth Plato points out that Parmenion led the Macedonian phalanx well into his 60s. At Issus and Gargamella when he got into a bit of trouble. And I think, if memory serves correctly, Leonidas was in his 60s or certainly in his 50s at Thermopylae.
I didn't know that. Did they do some special kind of fitness regime to keep themselves fit, or was it just that they were regular soldiers, that they were in the field as soldiers?
Well, I think with Parmenion, he was a general. He was one of Philip's generals that was transferred over to his son Alexander. Alexander eventually had him assassinated. But Leonidas and the Spartans, I mean, yeah, well, they was steroid beasts before steroids, weren't they? That's all they did was train. So yeah. But anyway, do we need to say anything else about Henry Cavill aging out of the role?
I would say no, he's not aging out of anything. And someone said that he has at least another 10 years in him. And I agree. It might have been Mikey Lito, but if it was not, I apologize. And Joker Voice says he'd go with Charlize Theron instead of Angelina Jolie. I think that they're both perfect women.
They are.
They're very elegant ladies. Is something else that I like about both of them, which I have to say was one of the best parts was seeing Charlize Theron at the end of Doctor Strange Part 2. And I thought, wow, this series has gone up a notch in class for me. I don't know how you guys felt about it. Mikey Lito says we don't see enough of Idris Elba. Thank you so much, Mikey Lito. You know that I love hearing that. And Mark O'Brien says we need a Superman movie with humor and Jimmy Olsen. And I think that Cavill could pull off the humor, guys. I think so, for sure. If anybody could. Joker Voice says Dwayne Johnson is the highest paid actor in Hollywood. I didn't know that, guys. The numbers say he is in more demand than Cavill. Not that I agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
well,
he's correct, but Cavill's not. This is one of the things about Henry Cavill, isn't it? Everybody seems to love this guy, but he's not really in a lot. Like, he's The Witcher at the moment. He's going to be in Highlander. He was in Mission Impossible when they, obviously he was the baddie. So he passed away at the end of that one. I think he fell up the helicopter. Anyway, I can't remember. Yeah. So no, not aging out of the role. We don't see enough Henry Cavill. I wonder if we saw more of him, if he would be the highest paid actor in Hollywood. But you're quite correct. The Rock is. And somebody pointed out, Expendables 4 is coming out next year. With talking about beautiful versus sexy, one of the sexiest women ever, Megan Fox, is going to be in the Expendables 4. I cannot wait to see the Expendables 4. I'm a huge fan of the Expendables franchise. Actually, when they released the R-rated cut of Expendables 3 with Mel Gibson, I watched it with my daughter. We did a bit of an Expendables-a-thon recently. She loved
Mm-hmm.
those movies, and she really liked the third one. Was actually her favorite one out of the out of the lot of them, which seemed to say to me what they were going for with that, which was to try to bring in a younger audience. Certainly worked. You know, if you take my straw poll of one with Sam, who she was 17, I think, yeah, 17 when we watched it. She really liked it. She liked Ronda Rousey. She liked Antonio Banderas. She liked the younger guy. She got what they were doing without being too heavy about it. So yeah, Expendables 4, can't wait. Suspect that Stallone's going to kill himself off in that one. But yeah, no, hugely excited for that one as well.
Um, I'm sorry, Stubble. You said I can ignore your tip message. Stubble, did you send me a tip? If so, thank you so much. And I don't have it in front of me. I think that I've asked it earlier. Stubble, if you did send me a tip, I want to thank you for your generosity. And please type in here. Let me know what it was that you said in the tip message, because I don't have access to it on this computer. So I apologize for that. But I certainly will read your tip message if you type it in the regular comments right now. And I apologize, but thank you for letting me know. I don't want to miss anybody's tips.
Okay,
And I do
so
appreciate everybody here who has done that. So that's what I was going to say about that. Now, you were talking about the Expendables, Russ, and Rogue Thinker was saying it's supposed to come out in 2023.
yeah,
And Stallone is still going. He is 75. He is somebody who's also worked very hard to keep his physique up to par. And I love Stallone. There are a lot of people who are huge fans of Stallone. And I think we need to see older men. I have no problem with older men too, or men in general. In a lot of these roles, we enjoy seeing them. So why not enjoy them? Honestly. But you know, you make a good point about that. And what else was I going to say? I'm sorry, Stubble, that I can't find that tip. And
I was
also,
going to say, should we just wait a sec? Chat, if because Stubble's going, no, I won't write it. I refuse. No, Stubble, if you drop it in, like we can pause and hang fire and address it, because it's really important that we
oh, he
support
doesn't.
people that
Oh, is
support
it
in
private,
our
Stubble? Is it a private message for me, Stubble? If so, I can get back to you later. Um, Darth Plato says these actors are not old. And did you read this? I'm sorry. I went back too far. I'm still looking for your comment, but I don't think I'm going to find it on here because it doesn't show the Stream Elements comments if you wrote a Stream Element comment. And that's something that I thought I had worked out on here, but I obviously have not. So I apologize. Mark O'Brien says that he's getting the Batman Steelbook through tomorrow. That's great.
What,
I
the
don't have
Michael Keaton Batman?
is it?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I'm not sure. I thought maybe it was the new one with
Oh, the
Pattinson.
Pattinson, the Batman. Ugh. Okay, forgive me. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit jet lagged, guys. I apologize. Jin Korea says, "I love you. I try to super chat, but no icon." Do you want to explain why we have no super chats?
Yes, I don't have enough subscribers for super chats yet. So I need to have 1,000 and I only have 800, guys. Jin, of course, I recognize you from Toxic Femininity and seeing you on there as well as on Midnight's Edge. So, Jin, it is so nice to see you here. This is my channel. I don't have enough subscribers. So, guys, if you're listening to this, please do subscribe to my channel and encourage others to do so I can get to 1,000 subscribers, and then you can go ahead and send me super chats. And that is why you can't do that yet. I am a new channel and have not been around that long on my channel. So hopefully soon I will get to that level. And Tom Jr. Jackson is showing you the Positive Fandom Stream Elements where you can send me a tip if you want to, Jin. But it is so nice to see you, Jin, here today. And also, we have more comments from you guys. I'm sorry I kind of fell behind, but Paul in Long Beach says, get Positive Fandom to 1,000 followers, people. Yes, please. Please get me to 1,000 followers. I assure you, it makes all the difference in me being able to continue the channel, because without it, I'm not going to be able to continue. So I really do need it. And of course, Joker Voice says support smaller channels like Positive Fandom and myself. Joker Voice also needs to get to 1,000 subscribers. If you do, we can make more content. And we love having you guys on here on Positive Fandom on our Sunday brunch show. So please absolutely do that. Retro Nerd Girl says, you are getting close to 1,000 subs. It won't be long. Well, thank you so much, Retro Nerd Girl. I so appreciate the encouragement. And Russ, I have to say that as we were talking about the topics that we were going to cover, certainly one of the topics that we have to talk about is how amazing you were telling me Stranger Things was as you've been watching it just today.
Yeah, I have. So I planned on watching this last night in advance of the show, and and I were talking about it, and I was having a couple of glasses of wine, and then my girlfriend Annie called, and I had a more couple of glasses of wine, and then it was 9 o'clock. Bear in mind, I'd been up since 4 o'clock in England, which is before, which should be about 11 o'clock at night or something like that in the States. And then I kind of went all the way through, and I had an 8 hour flight, and then I had to get here, and then I went walking around. So I don't know how long I've been up. I've kind of lost count. So then I ended up falling asleep at 9 o'clock as soon as I was about to put Stranger Things on. Then I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, or three o'clock, which was 8 o'clock in England. And it was sort of like, oh shit, no, I'm awake. So I had to take sleeping pills to go back to sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to be wrecked for my conference tomorrow. So blah 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 blah. Blah. I started watching it just now, and already I can see that there is a marked improvement from the shit sandwich they served us up for season 3. Now, I am sure they had all the best intentions, as we always do when we start writing anything. I think as I reflect on it, because I did this brilliant catch up at the beginning of Stranger Things 4, that because I've forgotten actually what happened, and I saw one of the characters returned that right at the beginning. I don't know if I can spoil it or not, so I'm not going to. Um, and Yeah, so I started watching it just now, and I think the problem with season 3 was they were trying to cram a sort of 11, 12-year-old story into the bodies of children that had obviously grown up. I mean, I think that the one guy's voice had broken at this point, and he's still supposed to be like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think now they've done a bit of a Vikings / Last Kingdom. Now they've just sort of embraced the fact that in reverse. Like, and I think in Vikings and in the Last Kingdom, they're all supposed to be like in their 50s and 60s, but they still all look young and beautiful. I actually heard an interview with Alexander Draymond, the main guy in Last Kingdom, and he goes, "Look, we just don't talk about age, all right? It's just a thing. We just don't mention it." It seems like they've just embraced the fact that these kids are now young
They're
adults.
40.
Yeah, they're 40. But it looks superb. I cannot I can't comment on the whole thing just yet, but I can just feel it in my heart and in my bones. This is going to be good. It just looks. I'm hooked. I'm watching it for, what is it? Oh, it's turned off now. I don't know. I think I got to the part where they're in California.
Hmm.
Certain people are in California, and they had the Mamas and the Papas playing and all that kind of. I was like, oh yeah, man, because of course I remember that that year that they're talking about as one of my greatest years ever. So it's hitting all the member berries for me, and I love all the perms that everybody's got that were a thing at the time. I even had one. Um, but yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm really excited, and it's been a while since I've been really excited about a television show. So yeah, I'm probably going to binge it today. I've got nothing else on. I'll maybe go see Maverick if there's a cinema near here later. What do you think?
Interesting. Well, I love Stranger Things, and I think season 4 is a home run. And of course, Mike Alito talks about it being in binge mode and how that's not the greatest thing. And I agree. And I think that's why they separated the last few episodes. Chip Spiewik is here with us today. Hello,
Hey,
Chip
Chips.
Spiewik. Greetings, fellow fanatics. So nice to see you here. And he goes on to say, and yes, Stranger Things should have been weekly. Maybe Netflix will, what does it say? Will actually go this more, since they are forced to change things to stay profitable. Maybe they will need to make changes. Chips, you make a very good point. And also, the other thing that I wanted to say about Stranger Things is that they've done what a lot of places have been trying to do, and I spoke about this last week, I believe, when we were talking about Fear Street, is to make a successful 80s horror film, a successful 80s horror franchise. And a lot of places have tried to capture that. Even the traditional ones like Halloween have come back and tried to recapture the magic, and were not entirely successful in their own franchises. But
Oh,
Things seems to have pulled it off in a believable, scary way. In episodes you haven't, well, maybe you have seen I think in the first one and the second one, Russ, where you witness something like that, that feels very 1980s, fear kind of thing, and is very specific in the way that it's portrayed. Not the easiest thing to do, but the Duffer Brothers have really perfected this area, and I'm so glad that they have. And Gary goes on to say that the episodes are long. Yeah, they are long. They're like almost watching a movie for each
yeah,
episode.
it's like an hour and a half, the first one. But I must say, talking about 80s horror and who have done it really, really, really well, which we don't talk about enough on this channel actually, or any channel in fact, is and I wouldn't have known about this apart from the fact Annie introduced me to this American Horror Story.
Yes, American
That
Horror Story.
is the
Yes.
shit. And the first one I saw uh, it was like a summer holiday camp. It was like literally sort of like Halloween world, and it was like it wasn't 80s. This is like very late 70s, and I had the jock with like the curly hair and the tash and the vest, and they absolutely nailed the look of the people, the acting style of the people. It was really really superb. So, and then there was one with Lady Gaga in it. She was
Yes,
a
Hotel,
vampire in the
American Horror
hotel.
Story Hotel.
Yeah,
I love
that was
that one
awesome.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that really
Lady
is
Gaga.
another franchise that I think that has done very well with that too. And in that particular case, they were episodic. I mean, they didn't release the whole thing at one time. They would release the episodes one at a time, and so you had to wait for the following week. And they've actually had some controversial seasons as well. There was a voting season, and then there was one called Roanoke that I thought was a very interesting twist
Mhm.
on it. Also, some people in the chat are talking about Maverick, seeing Maverick and loving it in you've got to go see it in IMAX. And Joker Boy says he watched The Northman 3 times in a week and he loves it. Yeah, that is a fantastic thing to go see as well. And Chip says Stranger Things also hit the bullseye with culture D&D and church backlash. We're reliving that crazy part of the 80s.
I was there. I was there. I liked heavy metal. I still do. I loved heavy metal. And I remember that period. There was a thing in the States called the PMRC, which was headed up by Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore.
Mhm.
And they were trying to ban heavy metal. And they were trying to ban Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of thing, as they thought it was satanic. I think the heavy metal thing was called the Satanic Panic. And I remember I can't remember if it was Iron Maiden or Ozzy Osbourne, but you had these sort of like really, really right wing Christian fundamentalists who used to burn all these records, but then they realized that actually the records might, if they burnt them, they'd be breathing in the fumes of Satan. So then they started smashing the records up with hammers. So it's a bit of a cautionary tale actually, because I know we talk a lot about the woke, the woke, the woke, the woke, and all that kind of thing. But just remember, guys, if it swings too far the other way, you're going to have all of this censorship and things getting banned. So it's not so it's not all it's cracked up to be. We need a nice middle ground. And to who was saying that they watched, I think it was Joker Voice said they watched the Northman 3 times. We've been talking about Top Gun Maverick. Um, and these things don't have an agenda, right? That's the point. Tom Cruise knows how to make a movie that doesn't have an agenda, that's not wagging its finger at you. For whatever reason, you're just going to the cinema to be entertained. It's the same with Chris Fine. I watched that one, The Contractor. That didn't have an
Yes.
agenda, you
No.
know. And I think I think the world needs a bit of, um, I can't. It's not a Donald Trump thing. It's actually a Ronald Reagan thing. Make America Great Again. It was Ronald Reagan that first said that. I think we need a bit more of that because I grew up in a time where we had Chuck Norris, we had Rambo, we had all of that stuff. America was great. We all loved it. We need a bit more optimism and little less navel gazing and a little bit less shame about our respective countries and how terrible they are because if you think United States or the United Kingdom is a shit place to live, I suggest you go move to Donetsk or go and move to Aleppo or somewhere like that, or go move to the Central African Republic or go move to the Congo, and then you'll see what shit really is like. We live in amazing countries and we should be celebrating it.
Yes, and we absolutely need more adult themed stories. I think we need more, adult themed things and definitely more nudity in general in entertainment. Joker Boy says, what made the 80s horror films so great is the fact that they were lower budget films. Major studios with all the toys takes away from the gritty realness of the time. And Chips says, churches are back to calling D&D and even He-Man demonic. Darth Plato says there was a Night on Elm Street TV series for a while in the 80s, and I didn't know that. That is very interesting. And also, Chip says play the records backward. I remember that.
Yeah, I had a Venom one. Oh God, was it In League with Satan? That had that had a backwards. I was going to talk about that Joker voice actually. Yeah, D. Schneider turns up in front of Congress, and he's not wearing his Twisted Sister makeup, but he's there in a cut off denim jacket with his massive curly hair and all that sort of thing. And of course, they expected him to be, you know, a moron, not realizing that D. Schneider is a highly, highly educated, highly, highly erudite man, and he absolutely tore them a new one when it came to. And one of I can't remember the exact quote, and I'm sure somebody in the chat will know it, but basically the Congress was sort of saying that these lyrics meant this and meant that and meant the other. And D. Schneider turned around and said, well, if you're getting that from my lyrics, that's not what they mean. And it says more about you reading something into my lyrics than what I wrote. No, Paul, they were trying to ban it. And the compromise that was reached there was we had to put the stickers on the records. And then, of course, anytime the record got that sticker, that made the record go to number one. So it was kind of
Yes.
it was a dumb thing. I remember it. Parental guidance required or something like that.
Yeah, this is getting very political. Chip says Reagan did say "Make America Great Again," and the H word, which we're not going to say on this channel, also said that. And don't get it twisted.
Yeah, my point being, Chips, it wasn't to make it political. I think we could do with a little bit more patriotism and a little bit more optimism in our movies. Yeah, we don't. I'm not going there. It's just I think we could do with some more patriotism. I don't really want to get political about it.
Now, Tom is talking about a friend who has a channel on YouTube called Life as a Music Gamer. So, Tom, please tell us who this person's name is. We need a name, Tom. Find out the name and repost the link again so we know who we're looking for, my dear. And it sounds very interesting. Music gaming is a lot of fun, guys. And definitely subscribe to that.
I have
Um,
no idea what that is. Music
I
gaming.
don't either. That's why I'm saying we need the name, Tom. Just get the name of your friend and then you can post it in there for sure. But we absolutely need a name. So we know we're going to the right channel, Tom. That's
Mm,
the part there. So, guys, we're going to wait for that. Tom is going to find out the person's name and then repost Life as a Gamer. So we know we have the right person. MCP Scotty says, I was raised in that spectrum of white ring evangelical, and it was a hell of a thing to come out of. Yeah, I'm sure that must, it sounds very, it sounds like it's pressing on you. Like it's,
mm.
the belief system.
I don't
I
know.
have
I have no
absolutely no
experience of
problem
that.
with that. I think that, I think parents do the best that they can, and people who are raised in different, religions, this is our world. And, um, you guys are obviously decent people. So, just glad that you're here. And I'm glad that you're sharing your experiences because this is what
Mm,
we love on this channel. We like to hear about different experiences, different opinions, even if they are not like our own, or even if they do not agree with ours. So, guys, go ahead, let it all out. Let us know how you
mm.
feel. Joker Boy says, and Congress expected John Denver to side with them.
Yeah.
um, John Denver seemed like he's one of the most laid back artist out there who just wants to enjoy life and nature, guys. I don't think he would side on anybody. He's on nature's side.
Yeah, but I think they saw him as a bit because he was slightly, he was bigger in the 70s, wasn't he? And I think he was much more of a sort of safe and cuddly establishment star. That was it. Explicit content, and I think Congress expected him to say to side with them, and he was absolutely against it. And I agree completely because when you look back on it and how ridiculous the whole thing actually was, that these people were devil worshippers, and and all that kind of thing, and they really weren't. And I think um, oh god, what's the one, Cradle of Filth, got into a lot of trouble for that
Cradle Phil.
back in yeah, exactly. And I think they're from Herne Bay in Kent. I mean, it's like the least satanic place you can come up with. But anyway, we move on. Restoration
Yes,
theme is age
and
old. Mm.
yes, Darth Plato talks about the restoration theme, and the exact phrasings. It goes back to the ancients. Very
It does.
interesting.
Cicero writes this is writing this thing, and if you read it, it basically sounds like it's written, today in the 70s, the 80s, whatever it was. He talks about, how the young have absolutely no respect for their elders, and the whole society is going to shit, and everyone's too decadent and all that. And this is Cicero writing just before the ADs. I couldn't tell you
Oh,
the exact
the
year.
guy who was known as the Great Orator. I don't know if it's him. Mikey Lito. That's exactly what I believe. People who see ghosts are perhaps the people seeing who are seeing ghosts. Okay.
Mm.
Circular reasoning, he says. And Chips goes on to say, yes, movies and entertainment are political. Our beloved comic genre came from an extremely political and patriotic section. No shade. Good point,
They
Chips.
they
And
are, but you know what we've lost a little bit of, our and Chips. We've lost a little bit of subtlety. Okay, I've said this before on this channel. Hollywood's always been left leaning. Look at Star Wars. It's about fighting Nazis and all that kind of stuff. Now we get, well, shit. Sorry, shouldn't have said that word. The nasty people from Germany. We get it. I think it's just gone. It's just swung a little bit too far the other way, as far as I'm concerned. But no, you're absolutely right. A lot of art is political, and I think the stuff that isn't so overtly the one way is getting some traction, as we're seeing with Top Gun.
yes, and Joker voice sharing his homicidal nihilistic clown, of
Mm,
course, Joker. And of course, that is my favorite. The Joker movie with Phoenix, with
mm.
Joaquin Phoenix, is my absolute favorite version of Joker, guys. So I'm a huge fan of Joker. And thank you for sharing that with us, Joker voice. Gary says, I have a cool channel doing a festival of African music next week in Liverpool. I
Oh,
like pop culture shows, and positive fandom is awesome. Thank you, Gary. And
Gary, can I
Gary,
give a shout out to that? Sorry.
mhm.
If you're not playing Wendy Oldfield at your Festival of African Music, please do. Wendy is an amazing artist. Started out in the 80s, and she's still going to this day. Started out very much like a Pat Benatar sort of rock chick type, and now she does world music and because of her star, she is bringing a lot of young South African uh, artists up with her. She does a lot of work with Robin Auld. They do a thing called Oldfield. So if you are not covering Wendy Oldfield is the way to go, especially Duayo. It's my favorite Wendy Oldfield song, and Legalize. I love that as well. So there's a shout out for Wendy.
All right, guys. So please do check out Gary. I don't know what your channel is. Just let us know the name of the channel, Gary, please, when you get a chance, and post it here in the chat so we know what your channel is, so people can subscribe to that if they would like. As well as Mark O'Brien says, I just keep out of politics now, and the boys sends it up all well. So this is a great transition. Honestly, going from Stranger Things, which I would say might be the hit of the year for me, Cradle of Filth, right back at you, Joker Boys, and the Hellfire Club t-shirts. We all had shirts or vests like that, and Joker Boys is giving a shout out to Eastern European and Scandinavian countries who
Ooh, I don't know.
produce
My daughter
metal.
saw Iron Maiden last night at Donington. She said they smashed it, Joker Voice. So I don't know, man. I'm still into my Maiden. But if you like Scandinavian metal, check out Hysterica. They're a brilliant all-female heavy metal band. I don't think they're not going. They're not still going. But I wrote a song for Hysterica, so I'm a little bit biased. But there you go.
Yes, and you have a history in metal, Russ. Of course, I correct. Am I correct on that, Russ?
A little bit of a lifelong history in metal, yeah.
All right, so we have our own heavy metal musician here in Russ, a former heavy metal musician, guys. So, absolutely there with you, Russ. And we have El Profesoro here with us this morning, guys. Good morning, Mario El Profesoro, who also has his own channel, a great collector and a very good friend of mine who took my mother and I around Disneyland a few weeks ago. We had a great time and hung out during Star Wars Celebration. El Profesoro, so good to see you here this morning, guys. Please subscribe to El Profesoro's channel as well, and I hope you are well, Mario. And then, of course, Tom Jackson. Okay, thank you so much, Tom. We know who we're talking about now. Guys, check out Dr. Becky O'Brien at Music Gamer 460. Her channel is Life as a Music Gamer, and she does streams of video games she plays, and she has a degree in music. Well, that is wonderful, guys. If you're interested in music in video games, do check her out. There is a society that does music in video games, and I can't remember the name of the society, but you can also check them out as well. I kind of am interested in that because I do research in music for video games as well as music in general. So definitely check it out. Wonderful suggestion, Tom Jr. Jackson. It's always fun to get new information like that. And Mikey Lito is talking about a film called Neptune Frost. Well, Mikey Lito, I have to tell you, he's talking about an Afrofuturist sci-fi musical backed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
And mad. An Afrofuturist sci-fi musical. Holy
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm sold, Mikey.
We definitely have to review that, Russ. And I did want to scooch on over to something else that's mad and crazy and good at the same time. And I'm talking about The Boys. Now, Russ, have you been watching The Boys yet for the new season?
No, I haven't. I was pretty switched off by The Boys season 2. In fact, I rewatched season 1 to catch up with everything, and then it sort of went into season 2. And I remember getting bored halfway through it and going on to something else. And no, I haven't. But I understand that, again, like Stranger Things, actually, they seem to have realized that their previous season was a bit of a letdown, and they've sort of come back like Rocky in the round 15 and smashing it out of the park. Is this not the case?
This is the case, and Stubble says the discussion is being dictated by extremes. Perhaps this is going to be the most extreme version of positive fandom Sunday brunch ever. But yes, The Boys has this particular season of The Boys. For me, I've always liked indie comics and comics that push
Mm.
the limits. And I think The Watchmen was a movie that was made that I didn't think could ever be made because The Watchmen pushed the limits. And I like how The Boys has done that as well. And perhaps Peacemaker, a little bit Peacemaker, but The
Oh, I
Boys
love
is a
that
little
show.
bit more extreme. And of course, for me in The Boys, I knew I was going to love this story when there was a superhero who was fighting everybody with his dick. So I think that particular idea, or at least the exaggeration, or even let's say what's the right word for that, the extreme level that they took, a way of, it's like a form of body horror, if you will, to use that as a weapon.
I heard about this. I heard about this with someone
Yes,
going
and in
up
the
some of these.
previous season, we saw there was a superhero that had his penis would grow, and he beat up one of the other members of the team with his penis. And I thought, yeah, this show's for me. This is my show. I
Mm,
just thought, they want to go to extremes. They want to use body horror. They want to use just everything that they can. And Homelander is my favorite character. He is the villain, but I just like the
mm,
freedom that he's exhibiting in this. And there's one scene, and I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but there's one scene where he gets on there and he's like, I don't care if you guys like me or not. I'm going to say what I want. I don't care if the establishment likes it. I don't care. And then they were like, oh, Homelander, your points went up, in the groups of like 18 to 50-year-old white males. And I'm like, gee, well, this is hitting, home. This is exactly something that, people are talking about right now. It is highly political, but it was nice to see Homelander say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, kind of thing, even though he is a villain. So it's
mm.
almost satisfying on so many levels of, he's a villain. He's pissed off. He's not going to do this. And people are like, yeah, and I just thought that was nice that they gave him something that was realistic. Of course, he's not going to like what they're doing. He's not going to just kowtow to whatever they say to do. And it was refreshing to see somebody just be able to kind of let go and say what is truly how he feels. Just be himself. And I thought that's what this show is kind of about, are people being themselves. They're doing wrong things, they're doing right things, but they're just living their lives the best that they can with this crazy compound V, guys. So if you like extremes, perhaps today's show is the extreme Stubble. Perhaps you were right about that. And I can't wait for you to watch the show, Russ, and get your opinion on that too. And Chips talks about the Hays codes. Yes, and the censors. Gee, all those censors, what would they be thinking right now? Um, and Joker Voice talks about Mark Hamill being his favorite Joker. Mark Hamill is a man of many talents. And I'm glad you mentioned the animated series. And Russ, you've been talking about the animated series and a lot of these shows and how good they are. And I feel quite deficient because I haven't been watching a lot of the animated series that you've been raving about.
Mm. Yeah, no, I love Mark Hamill as the Joker. I mean, him and Kevin Conroy, really did sort of define an era of Batman. And of course, it's not so widely known to the non-nerd general public because it's essentially a cartoon TV show. But no, he was, yeah. I struggle to think of someone two people that actually nail those characters in such a comic friendly or comic accurate way. In fact, we've spoken about this
Yes.
before. If DC Warners were struggling to find somebody to be the Kevin Feige of their realm, well, they've got Bruce Timm sitting there, and I think anybody that loves DC um, would say, yeah, you know, he's definitely the guy to do it. Or certainly, I wouldn't argue if they said, oh well, we're getting Bruce Timm to head up DC. And people might argue and say, well, he's a cartoon guy, but I just think the way he understood those characters um, was, yeah, I think he nailed it, and I wouldn't argue.
Well, Mark O'Brien says Billy Butcher should be president. And I have to say, the actor who plays Billy Butcher is absolutely infectious. He looks like a walking comic book character, this man.
Carl
He's
Urban, yeah.
a Yeah, he's amazing. I can't get over him. He's just like he lights up the screen like a star. He's wonderful on this show, and the chemistry between him and Homelander, although they don't have a lot of scenes immediately together, sometimes they do. When the two of them are on the screen at the same time, I swear to God, I'm just so happy to see the connection and the tension between the two of them. They've done it so wonderfully for me. And Stubble makes a good point about how grunge didn't kill off heavy metal here. And it's clear that it didn't, because there was a heavy metal band that won Eurovision last year. And Stubble, you and I were talking about how close your country came to winning Eurovision this year, but it went to a country, or I'm sorry, it went to I think they're a classical band that from the Ukraine.
Wasn't it Ukraine won it? Ukraine were always going to win it, weren't they?
Yeah. So they won, but I'm suspecting that if they were not in the competition, then you guys would have won it with that song, which was amazing.
Stubble from? Where is Stubble from?
He is from.
Is it Norway or Finland?
I should know this like right away, right? Considering how much I've spoken to Stubble. Let's see.
Because I remember Finland. Finland won it with Hard Rock Hallelujah with Lordi, and that was
Stubble's from Sweden.
Sweden. Okay, well, Lordi won it, and I think they were from Finland. They did Hard Rock Hallelujah. It was a long time ago now, 15 or 20 years ago, but I just remember seeing them come on, and they were kind of dressed up like Gua with all this like face makeup
and
all that. Yeah, and I said I couldn't, and of course everybody voted for Lordi, and of course they won it. And Hard Rock Hallelujah was a brilliant song. And it didn't kill off heavy metal in England either.
No, and Cornelia Jacobs is the artist from Sweden who sang "Hold Me Closer." She was a semifinalist, of course, in Eurovision this year. The last year, the winner was Manskin, who was a heavy metal artist. I can't remember who his exact name, but and they're a heavy metal group, and they won Eurovision last year. So clearly, metal still has a presence in Europe for sure. And I don't like that we don't really have too much of it going on here in the US, but that's okay. It's all right. Gary says that his channel is his name above, the Banjo Sandwich channel. And he says, send me some African links, Russ, and we'll dive deep and promote. Guys, all right.
Awesome. I will do. I don't have a pen and a bit of paper, so I won't be able to write that down. So after the show, if we can just keep the thingy open for a little bit so I can go back and get that information.
Absolutely. Renz is talking about The Boys with all brutality, gore, etc. in the last 4 episodes of The Boys. I am not ready for episode 6. You know something? I really do consider it body horror, Renz. I think it's body horror popularized. I think that when you compare it to a show like, why can't I remember the show? I just mentioned it a few minutes ago. Peacemaker that pushes the limits. But I think that The Boys push the limits with the body horror part in it. Both very interesting shows, going to extremes, doing new and exciting things, but very different for me. But some might argue very much the same. El Profesoro's YouTube channel, guys, go ahead and subscribe to El Profesoro's YouTube channel. Mario is fantastic. He is a wonderful collector who has a lot of insights. Guys, if you collect 1/6 scale figures, if you collect statues or anything associated with being a collector, you want to subscribe to El Profesoro's channel on YouTube, and I promise you will love it. So please do that. And Mark O'Brien is talking about The Boys.
That's it. Full stop, right?
I'm sorry. And they talk about how season 3 takes no prisoners. The last 2 episodes are great. And I think it's very interesting because Mike Alito says he's only seen episode 1, and now I have 3 seasons to catch up on. Mikey, I don't know how you will feel about The Boys, but if you like Peacemaker or The Watchmen, I have a feeling that you will love The Boys. And Joker Voice talks about how Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, and Carl Urban are on the top of their game. Erin Moriarty is also amazing.
She's
I think
Starlight, is she? Is
she
that
is Starlight. She is wonderful. We kind of got a little bit of a nude scene from her and her boyfriend. I think in the last season, which was nice. I really love the direction that the series is going in. They're not as free with nudity as the Peacemaker was, but it does kind of feel free. I certainly think that we're going to see a lot more action from all of these stars, and I'd like to see them in other things as well. I can't imagine a Homelander other than being played by Anthony Starr. And without these 3, who are kind of the main characters, it would be very interesting. There's a one scene in the last there's one scene, and Chips, I'm gonna get to that in a second. There's one scene in the last episode where Homelander does some smack talk to Starlight's boyfriend, and he can't handle like the smack talk, the guy who, and I just love it. I love the thought of Homelander doing smack talk, because I always thought that smack talk was something that every honestly, it's very stereotypical. I thought every man does smack talk to other men. I just assume that it's like that's how life is for a man. It may not be true, but I just loved seeing him do that, and even Starlight was all freaked out. And I said, "Gee, if they can't even handle smack talk, how are they going to survive in this world? Like, you guys are in your 20s, you can't handle smack talk. It's going to be hard for you, with being such high profile people, as part of the 7." So it was very interesting. And Chips talks about how mother's milk versus the penis. That's exactly what it was. Mother's milk was just standing there. The next thing you know, something comes through the door and it's like smacking him around. And then you realize that it's attached to this guy. It's actually his penis. Was such an unusual thing to talk about. And I think that the character who they had last year, or let's say in the last season, I can't remember what her name was, but I'm glad she's gone. I thought she was good for the majority of episodes, but towards the end, her story was not as powerful. So she needed to go. Supposedly she's committed suicide. Who knows what happens? I'm sorry for the spoilers. Mike Alito says, thanks, Mark. I love Carl Urban, and I'll definitely have to catch up on it. Maybe I'll start today. Oh, well, please let us know, Mike Alito. We certainly do want to find out. And Darth Plato is going back to the classics again today. First lesson of rhetoric is framing the debate. Who frames and coaches the terms and issues of debate conversation is probably going to win. And of course, we have a lot of Latin, I'm assuming this is, when you're learning Latin and they talk about that, that's one of the debate parts there, at least for what we did in my school. Paul in Long Beach says, I don't want to be political. When one states 2 factually incorrect statements is inherently political. I quit. And of course, Carl Urban, everybody is talking about how Carl Urban really is amazing. Now, Russ, something else that I wanted to ask you about is your opinion about the Kenobi series so far.
Okay. Well, we spoke about this a little bit up to now, and I've been a little bit disappointed with it. Actually, I haven't enjoyed it at all for the reasons that we've discussed. Saw episode 4, and qualitatively, it was pants, but it was the best one of the season so far. I really quite enjoyed the fact that it was very Obi-Wan Kenobi centric. It was less about what nominal main character Reva was doing, and much more about what proper main character Obi-Wan Kenobi was doing. I liked the fact that yes, and Mask of Phantasm is amazing. I like the fact that it was very much based on him. I like the fact that, they're having to rush things a little bit, because he's sort of gone from like not having any force powers to now suddenly being able to kick ass and crush robots and all that sort of thing. So I really quite enjoyed it. one of the things that actually upsets me a little bit about. Sorry, do you want to address this from Mikey? Because I think from Mikey, this is a good point here.
Yes, absolutely, Mikey. I certainly will speak to Lorraine Creel about doing an episode on our Toxic Male Appreciation Show, perhaps about the cast of The Boys. I think it would be very timely, especially with everybody talking about how great it is. I certainly do love Carl Urban so much. I think that is a great suggestion. And I will ask Lorraine about this. Thank you, Mikey Lito, for the suggestion.
Yeah. So cool. That is a good suggestion. He's been around. Well, he was in Xena. Carl Urban, um, playing two characters. I think he was Eros, and then he was Julius Caesar. Anyway, yeah. So I really enjoyed this episode, for all of its faults and flaws and nonsense. Like, I can't imagine an imperial base anywhere in the. I get we can talk spoilers on Obi-Wan. I think everybody's probably seen it, right? And if you haven't, I apologize, and tune out or turn the sound down or whatever. Any imperial base is going to have a turbo lasers, right? The Death Star had them. Star Destroyers have got them. This is a really important imperial base that houses perhaps the most important people in the Empire outside of Darth Vader and the Emperor himself. The Inquisition are based here, yet you can fly in with your little speeders and blow everybody up and save the day. And I think this is a little bit of a problem with Obi-Wan, is that the writing just is just subpar. As much as we want this show to be good, it it just isn't. And you can see it in things like that. Although I was complaining last week about the lady from Game of Thrones, and like, is she in the Empire, is she not in the Empire? And in this episode it becomes apparent, and I think somebody pointed this out last week and we missed it in the chat. Yeah, she is still part of the Empire, and that's why she's able to do what she's. And they explained that quite well. I thought that whole scene with her and Reva was brilliant. I think the actress that plays Reva, her performance was elevated by the other actress. I think that was a really, really strong scene. But to say it's the best episode so far is not to say it's great TV. It's just, for me, it was. Was it the best episode? It was the episode I enjoyed most. Let me put it that way. I didn't hate this one as much as I hated the last one. But yeah, they're in a situation. It's kind of weird, isn't it? There seems a lot's happened, but they seem to be very rushed. Like, he's already rescued Princess Leia twice now, twice in three shows. I don't know where it's going. But I've got 2 more episodes to go. Hopefully I'll be able to get to see them while I'm here in the States. I'll work it out, because we're going to have to talk about it next week, right?
Well, yes, and there's only a few more episodes of Kenobi left, and certainly it is not exactly what I was hoping for. It was okay. I know that I had mentioned before that I understood why Reva, who is the main Inquisitor in the story, why she let them escape, because that was part of the story this year, and that's fine. But they didn't have to do a scene where Leia is escaping with Obi and she's underneath his trench coat walking through that way.
I got traumatic amnesia from that bit, because that was really stupid.
I think that if you had given the subtext or the context to somebody, like if Robert was the person who was going to execute all this on camera for me, and I said, Robert, it's a scene. Reva knows that they need to get away. She lets them get away. They have to get away. Go ahead and make it happen. Robert, when I say Robert, I mean Robert Meyer Burnett, would never do something like that. He'd find another way for Leia to get out. And then I would go, I'd see what they did at the end of the day. I'd look at it and say, yeah, that's a great idea how they got out. She could have gotten out inside of a droid. She could have gotten out inside of, some kind of cart, something. But I think that when they do things like that, where someone is hiding under a coat, and it doesn't necessarily show the best effort forward for viewers. And something that we'll be talking about, almost as interesting as in Mandalorian season 3, where I'm sorry, season 2, where the guy was in the hallway. One of the extras was in the hallway, and they got it on camera, but they didn't edit it out initially. And
Oh,
so sometimes, they can forget someone is there, or they've made a mistake or something. But even in The Mandalorian, they corrected that. So I don't think they would ever make that kind of a mistake again. And if they did, they'd fix it. So I
yeah.
felt that shows you that they're not that concerned as to
No,
whether
but
or
this
not
is
you find the series believable.
the thing though, isn't it? Our you know, we people I can see it popping up in the chat. The chat's going so fast I can't see all of it. But people talk about the writing, and it's kind of like somebody mentioned this, and I was actually going to bring this up myself. From the original Star Wars, they're tracking us. And Han says it's not this ship, sister. And she says they let us go. And it's the only explanation for the ease of our escape. Easy. They've literally used the same gag here, right? It's all part of the plan. They were tracking them all along. I get it. And I've said this. I said this last week. Yeah, I get it. Let's move on from the Skywalkers as they did. Initially with Mandalorian, but let's not take a flamethrower to the old characters. Just leave them be. Let them live on in our memories as great characters, and not go back, revisit them, and systematically destroy their legacies as they did with Han, as they did with Luke, and now as they are doing with Ben or Obi-Wan, whichever you prefer. Um, yeah, it almost seems like it's not been written with the best of intentions. It almost seems like it's been written, as I've said before, with Obi-Wan. My opinion, my probably nonsense opinion, is that it's almost like an apologist letter to say, you see, this is why Luke is like he is in the the Last Jedi. Look what happened to Obi-Wan. It's the same. It's the same thing. Yeah, and to have not great writing, and to have writing that contradicts canon, and to have to come out in press and say it doesn't contradict canon when it clearly does, it's unforgivable. I mean, there are books and comics and novels about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think Marvel did a bunch of stuff, and I know that there was a Kenobi novel that it was quite highly rated. There's a billion things you could have done with this character that didn't contradict canon, had nothing to do with Luke and Leia. He was forced to go away. He had to undertake this mission. He had to go and do it, and yet they found a way to mess this up. But yeah, so in answer to your question, was my favorite episode so far, but that's a pretty low bar.
And Tom Jr. Jackson points out Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington's YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it, guys. Here is the link in the description, obviously right here. And thank you, Darth Plato. I really enjoy you saying that. Where nothing is off topic. It's true. We just want to share what you guys have on your mind. Can't believe the end of episode 4 of The Boys. Wow. I agree, Mark. I'm totally on board with you there.
Mm.
And it's Stormfront. Thank you so much, Joker Voice. I don't know why I couldn't remember her name. She kind of, I'm sorry for the spoiler, but she's not there anymore.
Okay.
Yes. And Joker Voice says, Kenobi, my opinion so far, he's not that thrilled with it. And Chips feels that way. Hey, Mario, we're still positive. There are some things I did like in the series. I like when he holds Leia's hand.
Yeah, that was a brilliant scene.
So
See, you were
sweet.
saying last week, weren't you, about when she said, who's my real dad, or you remind me, are you my real dad? And he said, no, but I wish I was, and I can see him. I thought the hand holding bit for me was far more emotional than that bit, which was well performed, but was contrived. That whole nonsense setup was completely contrived to set up that moment, whereas this felt much more natural. And of course, she's a brilliant little actress. This she was in something else apparently. Someone told me, and they saw her in that, and that's why she got this particular role. But yeah, and of course, Ewan McGregor is Ewan McGregor and could sell everything. But But yeah, no, I'm trying to stay positive, Mario. I did say it's my favorite one so far. I didn't dislike this episode for all of its faults. I thought it actually felt a little bit sort of Star Warsy in its way.
I'm still very touched at that part where he's holding her hand, and I'm like thinking to myself, it was so sweet, and it was nice to see that. When I say intimacy, it's something that you might do with your father. As a girl,
Mm,
you would hold your dad's hand, and well, you're a parent, Russ. I'm not a parent, but my dad, when he was alive, that would be something that I would do. And I remember how big his hands were. I'm going to get too sentimental here. Oh God, okay. My dad used to have these really big hands, and I have a brother who is almost a twin of my father. And, like he also has these very large hands. And,
hmm
oh gosh, this is too much. Um, so I kind of like saw that scene, and I was I thought to myself, that's not anything you could necessarily, it's not a fighting scene, but it was important to me because I looked at it and I said, well, that's kind of a very precious moment between the two of them.
mm,
That's the kind of stuff that I was expecting to see in the episodes. Sure, I know Kenobi can fight Vader. Yeah, that's not something that isn't also thrilling to me, but knowing a little bit more about Kenobi and the type of man that he is, and those kinds of moments also mean something to me too. So I really like that, and they purposefully let us see that. They let us see that they were making a connection there, and there were no words in the scene. There were no
mm,
words. It was
mm.
just when you're holding your dad's hand. And so okay, all right, I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. um Stubble says that Carl Urban turned 50. What? Are you serious? No way. That man looks amazing. Okay.
And yeah, he was in Xena, like I said, and Xena was like a long time ago now.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Oh my God, he's so great. Okay. Thank you, Stubble, for letting me know how old Carl Urban is. Yeah, you guys certainly do. Oh yes, and thank you, Tom. He says we are all allowed an opinion, and some people just can't have. It's true. We all do have opinions, and we share it here, guys. Obviously, we don't agree with each other, but we like to hear each other's opinions. That's the whole point of doing the show and kind of going back and forth,
Yeah,
with this, and just kind of enjoying hearing your opinions, and Russ's opinion, of course. But, we don't live I don't live in I don't, I'm on this earth with all of you, and it's kind of fun to hear different opinions, especially for
yeah.
me. I like to hear, something different, guys. I like to hear differences.
I
Um,
think it's important. Sorry, Aram. I think it's important that if somebody on this channel comes in with something that we don't agree with or whatever, that's not we're not going to shut that point of view down. Why would we do that? It's absolutely correct. We're not here to have all of the same opinions and all sing from the same hymn sheet and all the rest. It's kind of the point of the channel. Like we do want to we're into things we want to remain positive about things. Some things we don't. you know Kenobi been a great example of things that I struggle to be positive about. But on the whole, yeah, Darth Plato just says it down here. Being positive doesn't mean we have to jettison critical thinking. I think that probably just sums it up quite
yeah,
quite nicely, really. And if you look, everybody knows that I'm really biased towards Zack Snyder, and I love that vision. And if you don't share that opinion, then come on and say so. It's absolutely fine. I'm not going to go, "Oh, you're not my friend anymore." It's just comics, it's just movies at the end of the day. And yeah, it's all about debate, it's all about discourse. But I think it's all about respectful discourse. We don't
yeah.
have to,
And
we don't have to agree.
the other thing that I didn't say, and it is kind of like in my mind, and I didn't verbally say it, although it's probably quite obvious to everybody watching this, is that Kenobi scene where he's holding Leia's hand. The other thing that it made me think about was that, you know, Lorraine and I do our show, our Toxic Male Appreciation show, and one of the motivations for doing the show was that we didn't like to see how men were being vilified.
Hmm
And, I think a scene like that, with Father's Day coming up. And I know, I'm sure that, Disney had no intentions of this meaning as much to anybody as it means to me. But I think that it also shows that we do need men in our life, and you guys are important. And, you got that from that scene, how important that really was. And I think that for me, at least, it was good to see that. It was good to see that, kind of brought me back to a time where I remember my dad was like the greatest man in the whole world, So these are kind of very important things to me, especially. And, for you guys, I know Father's Day here in the United States is going to be happening, I think, next Sunday. Lorraine and I especially feel it's important for men to know that we value you guys. So that was the other part of this. I'm gonna have to get a tissue. So anyway, Chips Beweg says Kenobi really makes me think Disney is rushing the series. Okay. I've heard a lot of people mention that they felt that they could have taken more time to write out the series, and we would have probably had a little bit better quality. And I have a feeling that they had to rush it in order to meet the time frames for whatever reason. I don't feel like they couldn't have. It was clearly rewritten. For me, I think it was a rewrite. And from what I understand, it was, but they could have done a little better job. And Chips, you make a good point about this. And in regards to what we all want to see in regards to quality, I think I would have taken fewer episodes if I could have gotten better quality. What about you, Russ?
Yeah, I just think I think when you're talking about a show like Obi-Wan, and now we've got Cassian Andor's show coming up, which apparently has pulled in, like major talent from lots of different areas, like the Bourne movies and all that, and it's not shot in this, special thing that whatever it's called, the surrounding 3D amazing Disney shit. They're pulling in all this amazing talent for that, but you're not pulling in this amazing talent for Kenobi, and it seems to be a bit strange that we are struggling, forcing ourselves to like a mediocre episode of a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. That it isn't the greatest thing ever. Mandalorian is far better than Kenobi, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
It's streets ahead of Obi-Wan in terms of pretty much everything. I guess because it doesn't come with the baggage that Obi-Wan has. So if you're going to go down this road and you're going to bring back the original actors to do this, you need to be. You're Disney. You've got more money than anybody. Get the best people. Get the best people who know about the lore of Star Wars, that care about it, that love it, not just random dude who, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, Mario Lopez says, as far as Kenobi is concerned, I just hope the day will come when all Star Wars fans stop attacking each other, and altogether we can demand that Disney honor the IP they bought. And definitely, and I think it will come, Mario. I think that eventually, for the disappointment in these IPs, it is real, and it does affect people in different ways, and they do get emotional about it. And there was no place for them to go to kind of express that emotion except on social media.
Is
So
the Star Wars fan base at each other's throats over this, or is everybody just saying, "Oh, it's a bit rubbish"? I think it was legend Tom Junior Jackson. I think it was him. I saw a comment or read a comment by him, just basically saying, "Look, I'm just enjoying it for what it is. I'm just taking it episode by episode, and I'm enjoying it." And it's kind of sort of disassociated himself from the legacy and what the character means to us, and it's just like, for what it is, it's fine. And I think it was Tom that said that. Maybe that's the route to go. But I don't know about the Star Wars fan base, if they're tearing each other up about this in the same way that they did about Last Jedi.
yeah, apparently there is some implication that there may be, and you guys have a lot to say about this for sure. Many of us are saying similar things about how there are just certain things or certain elements that we wish were different in the series, especially with Reva, who Reva should have been the breakout character of the series. We all know this. She would have been, or at least should have been, the breakout character that we were all talking about how awesome she is, and we're kind of robbed a little bit of that. And for me, at least, that's how I feel. And maybe they can finish it. Maybe she'll finish strong because we still do have more of the series left. And Tom Jr. Jackson, thank you, Tom, to put Lorraine's channel in here. Lorraine Creole, who, as you guys know, is a wonderful YouTuber. She streams with me as well on toxic male appreciation, on toxic femininity, on her own channel, and she has a lifestyle channel. So guys, there is quite a bit that you can enjoy on Lorraine's channel. Toffee20 says that the snow speeders was so naff. There are a lot of elements that, just didn't seem to match. Retro Nerd Girl says that she's enjoying the series in spite of the obvious flaws. I was so happy to see Kenobi in battle mode again. I admit I did like seeing him in battle mode, and not necessarily wearing a uniform as a general, but just as a Jedi. And that was kind of nice. And she also says that she liked the underwater scene, which reminded me of Jedi Fallen Order, when Darth Vader encounters Cal Kestis, and he has to run for his life, and somebody breaks the glass, and Vader has to hold like the water there. And it was just like, I said, somebody must have seen, Fallen Order. Stubble says that he liked the best episode for him was the first one, but it's gone downhill from there. And Darth Plato talks about how Reva inspired Vader with a homing beacon play in A New Hope, not feeling it. Honestly, that's something else that they could have done that could have been improved, putting the homing beacon in Lola figure as well. And so, all of us actually have some pretty good ideas about some of the things. Chips Buick is making me laugh. 2 things I wish we get before the earth burns us alive. Thank you, Chips, for sharing this. He would like a complete Star Wars reboot. We might get that, guys. They haven't even scratched the surface on Star Wars, honestly, and a real Wonder Woman on screen that really rivals Superman. In order to do that, I don't know as much as, first of all, Gal Gadot is kind of like the dream Wonder Woman, isn't she? She's perfect in every way. But I don't know about rivaling Superman if it's going to continue to be played by Henry Cavill. So I don't know whether there is anyone who can. Chips, tell me who you think. If it's not Gal,
I think what he's referring to it in terms of power, as in terms of you've been able to go toe to toe with Superman, because there are certain iterations in the comics where she's pretty much on his level. I remember when Maxwell Lord mind controls Superman. It was a famous sort of comic run where Wonder Woman actually kills somebody on camera or in panel, where Max Lord basically mind controls Superman, and they have this sort of massive Wonder Woman Superman have this massive fight where Wonder Woman is really holding her own, but she realizes that a deranged and controlled Superman no one can really defeat, so she kills the guy that's mind controlling him. And
so do you think that we'll ever get a Gal Gadot who's going to be like that, or not? I mean, this is something to think about.
It is something to think about. I just think the way that we've literally, in my opinion only, I think we've got the best actors ever to play these roles. And I know that people will hate me for this. And I went to the cinema to see Superman, the movie with Christopher Reeves, and Superman 2 and 3 and 4, all that stuff. And he is, renowned as the best Superman, as in the same way that Sean Connery is always going to be the best James Bond. But Henry Cavill is as good as, if not better, given the technology and the story that we've got. So you've got Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and Ezra Miller, who we can talk about in a minute if you would like, which is debatable as to whether his casting was good. But by and large, Zack Snyder's casting of these characters has been absolutely perfect. But even as the world's most die-hard acolyte, I am aware that those movies were not well received by everybody. There are a hardcore bunch of us that absolutely love them, and it's just a shame that we've got these perfect people in this roles in films that have been ultimately divisive. So no, I don't think we will see this iteration of Gal Gadot going up against a Henry Cavill. I think they need to finish off Wonder Woman 3, Justice League 2, Justice League 3, just finish it, and draw a line under the DCEU and start again. So maybe in 5 years' time, we just kick it off again. That's what I think.
Yeah, and you make a good point, and that's something that I wondered about. And with Gal Gadot, and as I told you, I worship Gal Gadot. She's like a goddess to me.
Mm,
But I don't see that her iteration of Wonder Woman would do something like that. And that's okay. That's okay. This is how this particular Wonder Woman is.
mm,
I think I don't really see. I could see her playing Wonder Woman for another 15 years. But if that is the case, then we won't see a situation like what we've been talking about just now. I could see Cavill Superman kicking ass of anybody, but
mm.
I don't see him going toe to toe with. I just don't see that confrontation. But it would be amazing to see it. Tom Jr. Jackson says, check out and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Guys, Tom Jr. Jackson has a YouTube channel. Do subscribe to that. And he also has an Instagram, guys. Tom Jr. Jackson is a huge collector of Funko Pops. And he does sort of like a Funko Pop art with his Funko Pops. Guys, go ahead and do check out Tom Jr. Jackson's channel to see his art. Toffee 20 says, killing off the original characters the way they do is perverse. And also buying IPs and changing everything around is also perverse, as far as I'm concerned. But this seems to be a trend, and they always seem to want to do this. And Stubble says, you can see these shows being written in a board meeting and not crafted from a place of passion. And Joker Voice says, the KK. And he feels that that's a mission to destroy legacy characters. And we have heard some things that kind of support that.
Have we now? I'm sorry. Can we pause there? Or
Yes, we
you see,
may.
I am not altogether up with the politics of this. I find under her leadership, what she has done to these properties is criminal. But I wonder how responsible is it? Is it her that is driving this knife into the heart of everything that was good and decent about these properties, and legitimately, so it seems, to literally, it's almost like she hates Star Wars at this point. Is it her, or is it just a corporation that doesn't know what it's doing? I don't know. Now, you said you've heard stuff about this. What's the background?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think that there's a disconnect for the person. I don't know her personally,
Mm,
but as an executive, she's completely disconnected to the normie world and to the fanboy world. And she may be maintaining that for the rest of her career. Let's say if she's around for another 15 years, which I think she will be.
oh,
And so that level of disconnect is something that she's functioned in all this time. And for her, she's a success. For things that she's done, she views this as a success because she's accomplished what she wanted to accomplish.
mm,
And so, when you're operating from that attitude, oftentimes, although I can't say this is 100% true in her case, but oftentimes a person may say, well, I accomplished what I wanted to do. I'm so proud of what I've done, and
but
I can go
will
to
she
sleep at
last?
night.
Because didn't Bob Chapek publicly execute one of his major people in Disney last week? I forget the guy. Was it Peter Reed?
Right.
Somebody like
Yeah.
that?
Rice. But
Rice. Yeah.
I have a
Sorry, Peter
feeling
Reed is the former Everton Football Club manager. Sorry, Reedy. I
she has
apologize.
a much more secure contract probably than anyone in Lucasfilm. So
Mm,
we do have to keep that in mind. I think that when she got that contract, it was pretty much, if you break this contract, it's like the oath of death. Lucasfilm will actually crumble into the ground and exist no more kind of contract that continues into perpetuity, meaning that you'll see her name over and over and over again for the next 25 years in practically every production that's ever made. So she's not going to go anywhere. Her influence will always be there. So that's something that, in regards to, is a success for a producer to always have their name associated with something, or to always be able to put a credit in, or always have your name as an executive producer, associate producer, or the main person on there on the title card. She's got it, and there's no one can really take it away from her. I suspect.
Then I suspect that somebody in the chat, it might have been Mario. I can't remember who it was now. Said, the only thing I want to see is a complete Star Wars reboot. Then I imagine we may well get that under Kathleen Kennedy's tenure. Is it the Star Wars that we're going to want? No, probably not. But what is interesting actually is that there must have been a recognition that the sequel trilogy was not well received, because we haven't had any continuation of that, right? Where's Ray? Where's Oscar Isaacs? Where's Finn? Where's Rose T? Where are their spin-off shows? What's happening with those guys? Because that it's the undiscovered country, according to Star Trek, the future, even though according to Shakespeare it wasn't. It was something else entirely. Oh, sorry, I've got a message pop up here. I'm just closing that.
No, it's okay. I suspect that if they could, and if they were willing to, they could bring Finn back and people would watch a show with Finn. I would watch that show. Even though the sequels were not up to par from what we wanted. If they were to tell us that they were making a series about Finn, I would tune in. I think that...
But they haven't, RM. This is my point. Like, it's almost... Oh, my God. Now, as a bit of a conspiracy theorist, are they literally going back and just wrecking absolutely everything, destroying absolutely everything, literally forget the past, kill it if you have to. And it seems like they're going back and trying to kill absolutely everything, and then we're going to get a whole wedge of new stuff because everything in the past has been, had Uncle Owen and Aunt Berude. It's just a smoking husk of what it once was. Now we can move on to amazing new stories. I don't know, well, but except they won't be amazing, I imagine. But I don't know. But that's what I think. I wonder why they haven't done anything in the new verse.
One thing that I don't think anybody could really say isn't, or at least doesn't seem to be the norm. For me, it seems like Star Wars can be somewhat hit and miss these days. And Retro Nerd Girl says she's disappointed that Reva's motivation hasn't been outlined yet, and it's episode 4. I agree with this, Retro Nerd Girl. It's been too long to string the audience along, and we still have 2 more episodes to help the story. Agreed.
Yeah.
I felt that Reva could have been the breakout character, and we would have been like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And we haven't been given that ability to kind of get that.
You know what? I think it might have been Film Threat, Chris Gore. Was it him? He was saying, they could have just addressed this by opening up with Reva and Vader, and him giving her the speech. Now I need you to do this, and you and don't you worry about this. You're the one. They don't suspect you. Whatever they concoct at the beginning, and have Darth Vader there from the beginning talking to Reva. I'm going to wear her insubordination now, because now I know she didn't give a shit about what the Grand Inquisitor thinks, because she knows she's entirely safe from him because Vader's on her side. But we don't. We wait to sort of reveal what's happening with Vader and Reva. I think it's episode 3 or episode 4, whatever it was. If we'd have set that up at the beginning, I think the character might have been a bit more endearing, and less irritating, and less why is she doing what she's doing and been able to get away with it. So maybe. So what we got here, Mikey? What's Mikey saying?
He says the ostensible motivation for Reva is to advance by directly giving Vader, I can't see the rest of it, Vader what he wants. And there are those who feel there is another hidden motivation and it remains to be seen. Yes.
Well, we
Um,
spoke about this, didn't we? Like,
mhm.
please God, don't let it be oh God, what's the word? A redemption arc. That let's not have her turn
Yes.
good at the end. Let's not have her sacrifice herself to save Princess Leia. No, let's just keep this character evil and let's have somebody good kill her. That would
And
kind of save it for me. And you're right, Chips. It absolutely should have been. It
mhm.
absolutely should have been. Sorry, what were you going to say, Aram?
I was going to say, Darth Plato says the pilot dying at the end had no emotional impact. That was also a very strange death, considering how hard they're fighting to go against the Empire.
Mm.
Joker voice, he says he's being positive. He positively hates the Obi-Wan series. And going on, I guess Chips Bewick was talking about it's a very sweet scene indeed. I'm kind of behind on my
Yeah, it's
on the
the hand
comments
holding
here,
thing.
aren't I?
Mm.
And Lorena, hello, Lorena. It's such a pleasure to see you, Lorena. Thank you for dropping by. It's always a pleasure to see you guys. Please do check out Lorena Creole's channel on YouTube, and she also streams on Twitch. Yes, we did drop your link in the chat, guys. So please go ahead and do that. And Stubble says he doesn't like how there's a 6-episode 30 to 40-minute model. Yeah, I think that they can rethink how they do the episodes. Hello, Lorena. Carl Urban asks Art. Yes, Lorena, I'm going to send you an email about it for certain. Oh, and and Tom Jr. Jackson is talking about us doing a show on Carl Urban. I would love to do something like that, or even on the boys cast in general, with so many men there who are amazing actors for sure. And Disney projects within the next 12 to 18 months is no longer about story, he says. Joker Voice mentions, and things have certainly changed for Disney from that one time where they announced, I don't know how many series that they were supposed to be coming out with. Someone did mention how great Andor, the Andor series coming up looked. It certainly does look great. Dark
Yeah,
Plato
I
Sisters.
haven't seen the trailer for that yet. I really must get around to watching that because I've heard nothing but good things about this. Oh, bye,
Yeah.
Lorena.
And thank you so much, Lorena. And I can't believe that we're already on the 2-hour mark. I want to see if I can at least get most of everybody's comments
Yeah, let's go for that.
And it looks like Mario Lopez says it would have been better to do season 1 with Reva still young. Yeah, that would have been incredible for sure. We're going to have what I was going to say is that Lorraine and I are going to have our rebroadcast of our Toxic Male Appreciation Show. And I believe it's the one with Denzel Washington and his son coming up in a little while, probably in a half an hour. It's our rebroadcast. Originally streams on Twitch on Thursdays. And of course, we always have our show here, Sunday Brunch at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Russ, as you can see here. Monday nights, you can always find me on Toxic Femininity with Lorena and Nina Infinity on Midnight's Edge at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes you can find me on Tuesdays and Wednesdays on the 1/6 Scale Man Network with Lael Rockwell on Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. Lorena and I also stream on Twitch at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays on our Toxic Male Appreciation Show live. On Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern, I stream on Midnight's Edge in the morning with Tom Connors and Andre. And of course, I do also, as I just did yesterday or the day before, stream with Robert Meyer Burnett on Midnight Musings, as well as different shows we have on Positive Fandom, including one I did with you, Russ, that I have not aired yet, where we talk with Lance from the Outcast Creative
Oh, yeah.
about historical films and the
I know I was
rise
pretty
of these
drunk towards the
historical.
end of that one, though.
Yes. Oh, and thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. It's not the one with it's the Chris Pratt version. We did a Toxic Male Appreciation with Chris Pratt. So thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. I couldn't remember which one it was. Joker Voice says, I'm going to scoot. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you, Positive Fandom and Russ. And have a great week. Take care, guys. We're wrapping up everything. Russ, where can people find you?
I have a website that's a million years out of date. As I say, you can always email me at contact@russellwhitfield.com. But more importantly, once again, Aram, where can we find you?
As I mentioned, you guys can find me here on my channel, Positive Fandom, where I do my show here with Russ. And of course, all the other appearances this upcoming week. I will be premiering the episode I did with you and Lance on film, historical films, and how it seems to be getting more attention, and people seem to want more of that. And thank you, Gary, saying that this is a breath of fresh air. Is this channel? That is so kind of you. And Darth Plato, you know I love Grogu. Let's see. Oh, yes. When are we doing the historical movie show? We've already filmed an episode with Lance. And I think it's going to be sometime this week. It's probably going to be Wednesday when we see that. I'm also doing a show with Lorena Creole. And the show is about a documentary about what is a woman. So that's coming up. Somewhat controversial documentary, but I figured let me cover it and see what they say. So that's what's coming up, Darth Plato. For all of you guys out there, thank you for tuning in. I so appreciate all of you for sharing your views, sharing your links. Guys, subscribe to everybody here we mentioned today. And thank you so much for tuning in. We always appreciate you all here. And for all of you, no matter where you are in the galaxy, and I hope you have a wonderful day, but always do remember to be kind and take care, everybody.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye now.